Florida's Department of Business and Professional Regulation, the DBPR, under Ron DeSantis' administration, is investigating a Christmas-themed drag show that's been touring the state, claiming that the show is a sexually explicit performance marketed to children. Details from The Hill. The department had received multiple complaints alleging a December 26th performance of drag fans, A Drag Queen Christmas, was sexually explicit and marketed to children. The department is actively investigating this matter, including video footage and photographs from the event. The statement from the department makes it clear that whatever they find will be turned over to law enforcement for a criminal investigation following this. So the Broward Center for the Performing Arts, the Fort Lauderdale venue that hosted the holiday drag performance at the center of the state's investigation, may be at risk of losing its liquor license and its ability to operate as a business in Florida, the statement said. Now, this is despite the spokesperson for this drag queen performance, a drag queen Christmas on December 26th. They worked with the venue. They said it was limited to patrons of 18 years or older unless they were accompanied by a parent. More details from The Hill. To ensure viewers were aware of the adult themes and content of the show, ticket buyers were informed directly through a know before you go message that is sent out via email in advance of most shows hosted by the Broward Center. So Republicans in Florida have sent out a warning to venues across the state. In an email to the Orlando Philharmonic Plaza Foundation, a stop on the Drag Queen Christmas tour, venue operators were warned by DBPR Secretary Melanie Griffin that minors should be barred from the upcoming performance, which is of sexual nature. In short, if you allow children to attend the drag fans show at your facility, you are putting your license in jeopardy, Griffin wrote in the email. So this is just an extension of the culture war that Ron DeSantis is waging against the LGBTQ community and the transgender community. So DeSantis in July filed a complaint against Our House, that's not Republican House, that is a Miami restaurant, after it hosted a drag brunch event where children were present, citing a 1947 state Supreme Court ruling that men impersonating women in a suggestive and indecent fashion constitutes a public nuisance. But DeSantis's culture war, they've been far-reaching for the LGBTQ community, reporting from The Hill that no fewer than 124 drag performances have been targeted by direct threats this year, according to a recent report by GLAAD, the world's largest LGBTQ media advocacy organization. So what's going on here is pretty intense, and it's a witch hunt if I've ever seen one. Cenk?
Yeah, so I've seen drag shows in Miami in specific, and they were wild and they were super fun. And were they, the one that I happened to see, was it appropriate for children? No. You know how as luck would have it, I have kids. I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. You know what I did then to avoid this apparently national emergency? I didn't bring my kids to it. Hey, problem solved. Look at that, amazing, right? So are there things that are sexually inappropriate sometimes at drag shows? Sure, could be. Are they things that are sexually inappropriate at straight venues like Hooters, who today in the news is bragging about how much boobs they have to show? Yes, of course. Are there pickets in front of Hooters? Are people trying to tear down right wingers, trying to tear down Hooters? No, they're trying to support Hooters. So they're not worried about things that are sexually appropriate. Here, the drag show says, do not bring children. Hooters says, yeah, sure, we got great wings, bring children. The right wing doesn't care about your kids at all. If you see a right winger talking, you're seeing him lying. No, they hate people in the LGBTQ community. They're deeply bigoted. Ron DeSantis is spending taxpayer money to try to target these people and get people to hate them based on nothing at all. That's the kind of sick, depraved people that Republicans are. That's a fact. It's an absolute fact. They hate gay people, they hate this community, and they target them through legal means and using our tax dollars tax dollars to do it. And if you're one of those right wingers who are like, no, I'm a good parent and I care about my kids, that's why I'm worried about the drag queen shows. Really? When's the last time you complained about sexually explicit material that was straight in any way, shape, or form? You know you didn't. You know you didn't. You know you're a giant liar, and you've been taught hate, and you're trying to spread that hate to others. Ben.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, think about it. They went by the same rules as a rated R movie, right? Is there stuff in rated R movies that's not appropriate for children as a general rule? Yeah, of course there is, right? But yet we all as a society have agreed, I guess, that if you have a kid, you can bring your kid to a rated R movie, and they can get led into that as long as you're like their parent and you consent to it, right? And then it's just like an individual parenting choices and people having different opinions about what is appropriate at like different ages. Maybe somebody's like a 17-year-old and their parents, have like just a different mindset. So like that's just one part of this. The other part of this is the specific precedent that Ron DeSantis cited, which I think has definitely been overturned. But aside from that, we need to understand that at the root of this is a desire to ban queer people from public life. Period. Stop. That is what this is all about. That is why they are not only targeting the people who actually did the drag show, but they're also targeting the venue and everybody that worked with them. Because what they want to do is not only prevent queer folks from being in public, but specifically to prevent anybody from engaging with queer folks in any type of substantial way. And the way that that ruling was read, like men impersonating women in a provocative way. I mean, let's be real. We've all seen Ben Shapiro reacting to that video of that femboy, okay? Like we've all seen it at this point. It doesn't matter how much clothes you're wearing, they're going to say that just being trans in public is provocative, right? Because that's what's going on in these Republicans' mind all the time, right? Like we don't need to get into people's search history to reveal that fact, right? It's really, really cut and dry. But all of this is really just about trying to ban queer people from public life, period, stop. Right? And because I mean, think about it, right? Think about it, right? If they define being trans as exactly the same as doing drag, right? Which is what these Republicans believe. And then you go with their logic of, oh, well, drag shouldn't be around children. Well, children are everywhere, right? They're at Target, Walmart, like out in public, right? And so effectively what they're trying to do is establish precedent in order to take money, wealth, jobs, businesses away from queer people and to prevent queer people from being themselves in public. It's literally that clear. Because like, look, I'm a trans woman. Look at me. Am I provocative right now? Is this suggestive? Or am I wearing like a normal sort of like professional attire, right? Like it doesn't matter in the minds of these Republicans. It literally does not matter. They don't care. All they care about is like quite literally using state violence to prevent queer folks from being allowed to exist in society. And that is why you see, states like Texas, for example, like deleting the suicide prevention pages on their website that were targeted towards like queer folks, okay? We know exactly what these people want, right? These people, without a doubt, if given complete control, would be starting an extermination campaign of queer folks across the country. And I know this is true because people like Tucker Carlson pretty much say as much, in pretty clear terms.
Yeah, and by the way, they're using an old 1947 law here because they're backwards. That's their Neanderthals who want to go backwards and go back to the days of hate and discrimination and prejudice. And so you are, just own it. By the way, if they had any kind of actual principles and they actually believed it, when they arrest Steven Crowder, who cross-dresses more than any person in media, period? No, of course, they love Steven Crowder because they think he's making fun of trans people. Okay.
The last piece of hypocrisy here is that they were mad we weren't celebrating Christmas. Now we do Christmas stuff and now we're in trouble. It's like, I thought you were upset that we weren't doing Christmas stuff. Now we're doing drag Christmas and it's a problem. And honestly, it's all a distraction. Like for them to make this a central issue in people's lives is insane. I took an Uber in Kentucky just from the airport to my hotel. And my Uber driver was a conservative woman and she was transgender. And her main issues that she was thinking about was the economy. had been tricked that Republicans were somehow going to be better on the economy and inflation, people's pockets are hurting. They're struggling to pay their bills and keep food on the table. And conservatives want to do the bidding for corporations and distract you with this culture war stuff. And of course, there are people who are terribly hateful of the LGBTQ community, but the reason it's a #1 political issue and not just a social one among groups of people who want to live their lives differently is because they're manipulating the public.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.